So, can you explain to the committee then why Treasury supported a CPI-linked wage increase while at the same time noting in questions on notice to the Fair Work Commission that, and this is quoting Treasury, whether the recent cyclical improvements in productivity continues and the timing of the return to trend productivity remains highly uncertain, and on a heads basis, productivity has been declining since December 2021, and this trend is yet to be reversed. Obviously, something very different from Minister Gallagher's testimony just moments ago. Can those statements then also support a CPI-linked wage increase?
Are you arguing against wage increases?
I'm not arguing. I'm asking
workers?
about Treasury's position.
It's astounding, so barefaced that you would be arguing against wage increases.
It's so obstructive. I'm asking the Secretary in the last few minutes I have. It's
extraordinary.
Senator Hume.
I think so I have to be careful. The submission to the I don't have to be careful, but I will be. The submission to the Fair Work Commission is the government submission, which we prepare, and from memory, I'm going to say that talked about real wages not going backwards, which I interpret as staying broadly consistent with inflation. The productivity bit, of course, for real wages is the bit you get on top of inflation. And that's the thing we're talking about. There's this global uncertainty about how productivity will recover in a medium term, and that's really where we should keep our focus. And then there's just all these ons and offs that are going on at the moment through cyclical productivity. My advice is, and my strong focus is on where is productivity going to settle down more in the medium term. That's the crucial bit, because that's what will drive real wage growth in the longer term. I think it's perfectly reasonable for the lower end to keep up with inflation, though of course we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful of that when we see very large inflation shocks. For example, we saw wage increases in some countries that got up to 6 and 7%. It was very pleasing we did not go through that here. Our system was more stable, has been more stable through that period. It's difficult, but it's a sensible response to that shock. And what we're talking about on the productivity side is where will real wages settle down, not so much keeping up with inflation. What we all want is inflation averaging 2.5 and productivity 1 to 1.5, yes, which allows us to see wage growth of 3.5 to 4, and that's the strong focus.
So Treasury's answer to questions on notice from the Fair Work Commission said productivity growth is expected to return to a trend that is broadly consistent with the 20-year average of 2021-2022 of 1.2%. When does Treasury expect this to occur?
I'll just confirm with Mr Yeaman.
We have a phased improvement. So we've seen a small reduction so far, Senator. Sorry, a small improvement so far, Senator, in the cyclical productivity numbers, but we trend that in over about 5 to 7 years, I think, from memory, over the transition from the short term to the medium term. 5 to 7 years. So, isn't the best way to deliver sustainable real wages to boost productivity and bring inflation down back into band, neither of which have happened over the last 2 years of this government, according to Treasury's own answers to questions on notice to the Fair Work Commission?
Well, you have zero credibility on productivity or wage
Minister,
increases.
again, I have minutes left with the Secretary, and I'm asking him.
Okay.
The Secretary, Senator Hume's question.
Okay, I'll
allow the Secretary to answer.
I think Dr Kennedy is ready for the call. Dr Kennedy.
The proposition I agree with about real wages and sustainably low inflation. The assessment that having gone through this shock that we haven't been focused on that is one I don't agree with.